what does this mean for us? How does this apply to me as an 8th grader? Well, I believe that God is saying a very similar message to us today, including I include myself in this. I'm not preaching at you guys. I'm preaching toward myself as well. But I believe that we have set up other gods the same way that the Israelites set up other gods. For Israelites, they literally had little figurines and the things that they would bow down to and pray to meet their needs, to help them be satisfied, whether it was just to help their crops grow. You know, in our economy, it would be, you know, maybe for money, for different things. But they would kind of say, you know what, I'm going to give my body and give my life to this thing, like a prostitute gives her body up for money. And for us, those little wooden idols and those things that we might pray to, you know, I begin to think, what is the thing, you know, for me, one of those things that I have to admit to is say that, you know, a lot of times I just think to myself, because here's the thing, you know, if you say, you know, what's the God that I worship that's not the real God? Well, ask yourself this question. How would you answer the question, and answer it to yourself? If I just had this, my life I would be satisfied. God, if you would just do this for me, my life would be satisfied. For me, a lot of times I answer that question with money. I'm just like, God, if I just had a little bit more money or a lot more money, you know, I could meet these needs and my life would be at peace and I could worship you more fully. You know, that's kind of how I spiritualize it. But I think, I look to money to satisfy me. I look to money to say, you know what, that's going to make me content. That's going to make me happy. You know, if you're in school right now, maybe for you it's a relationship that you're in, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, that you say, you know what, I'll do anything. That this relationship satisfies me, this makes me happy. I'll do anything to make my boyfriend and my girlfriend happy. I'll do anything. Whatever it takes, I'll make them happy. Maybe that's not it. Maybe you say, you know what, if I can just get a car one day, then I would be satisfied. Maybe it's athletics or drama, band, academics. What is that thing that you would say, you know what, if I can just do this, I'll be satisfied? And that's probably where you can look and say, you know what, this is the God that I might be putting before God. This is the other God that I have in my life. Fortunately, though, the story doesn't stop there. Hosea goes on. And in chapter 3, it says this. It says, "Then the Lord said to me, go and love your wife again, even though she commits adultery with another lover." I mean, again, this is an ongoing process, and maybe he said, hey, you've got to move out if you're going to continue this lifestyle. I don't know. He says, "This will illustrate that the Lord still loves Israel, even though they have turned to other gods and love to worship them. So I bought her back for 15 pieces of silver and 5 bushels of barley and a measure of wine. Then I said to her, you must live in my house for many days and stop your prostitution. During this time, you will not have sexual relations with anyone, not even me. This shows that Israel will go on to go a long time without a king or a prince, and without sacrifices, sacred pillars, and priests, or even idols. But afterward, the people will return and devote themselves to the Lord their God and to David's descendants, their king. In the last days, they will tremble in awe of the Lord and his goodness." And what God is simply saying is I have a covenantal relationship with you. I have promised that when he tells the people that you are not my people and you're not loved, you're not forgiven, it's because they have rejected him. It's because they have chosen not to take that love and that forgiveness. They have chosen not to be the people of God. And they have said, I don't want that. And I think when you and I do the same thing, and we say, you know what, we want these other gods instead of you, God, we're saying to God, I don't want you. I don't want the forgiveness. I don't want the side of this relationship. And what God says is, I'm still pursuing you. That just because you're not coming after me, I'm still coming after you. I'm still keeping my end of the covenant. I'm still keeping my vow to you. And so tonight, very simple message, very simple question. What are those other gods? In the story, what he tells his prostitute wife is simply, you've got to stop. You've got to stop chasing after all this stuff. You know, to me, God would say, you've got to stop believing that money is going to be the answer to all your problems. You've got to begin to trust that I'm going to satisfy you. That while your life is not going to be a red carpet and I'm not going to fix everything because you have a relationship with me and because you trust in me, that you're going to find the most satisfaction, that life will be the most fulfilling in me, and that all that other stuff's not going to fill it up, that all those other relationships, all those other things that we think, man, this is it, that you've got to say, you know what, God, I'm going to stop. I'm going to let you be God. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to close right here. I'm going to ask the band to come up, and they're just going to play for 60 seconds, 90 seconds. And I'm just going to give you a minute to just kind of stop and talk to God. And just talk to him and say, you know what, God, here's the gods that I've got in my life. Here's the things that I'm putting over you. And maybe you're here tonight, and you say, you know what, I've never come to a point in my life where I've said, you know what, I'm going to make God the leader and forgiver of my life. And that's a decision that you want to make. Then I would just pray that you'd stop and ask God to do that. Say, God, come into my life, forgive me of my sins, and I'm going to follow you with everything I have. Maybe you've already made that decision, and tonight your decision is to say, you know what, God, I'm chasing after a lot of stuff that's not you. And I just want to worship you. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to do that on your own. If you would like to pray with somebody, there's some leaders in the back. Go find your small group leader. You can do that. If this isn't for you, I just ask that you allow the people around you to talk to God on their own. So I'm going to pray for us, and the band's going to come up. God, thank you for chasing us down. God, thank you that our relationship with you is not dependent on us. God, that you have vowed to love us, to forgive us, to pursue us in spite of ourselves. God, we just come to you, God, and ask that you would forgive us for chasing after these other gods. God, for chasing after these things, God, that we think will give us what we're looking for, God. And really what we're looking for, God, is you. God, I just pray that we would find you tonight.